Nigeria's oil industry was once considered the last stronghold of men, a space controlled by multinationals, military elites, and political godfathers. But today, behind some of Nigeria's most powerful indigenous energy companies are three Igbo women who didn't inherit oil blocks, didn't rely on political power, and didn't wait for permission. They built their empires from the scratch. This is the story of Uju Ifejika of Brittania-U, Audrey, Joe-Ezigbo of Falcon Corporation, and Nkechi Obi of Techno Oil. These women who didn't just enter Nigeria's oil and gas industry, they reshaped it. For over 60 years, oil has shaped Nigeria's economy, politics, and global influence. It has produced billionaires, corporations, and entire cities. Yet, for most of that history, women, especially indigenous Nigerian women, were almost completely absent from ownership position in the industry. Not as engineers, not as executives, and certainly not as founders of major oil companies. But today, that reality has changed. Across Nigeria's energy value chain, from offshore exploration to fuel importation, storage, and retail, three Igbo women now stand among the industry's most influential players: Uju Ifejika of Brittania-U, Audrey Joe-Ezigbo of Falcon Corporation, and Nkechi Obi of Techno Oil. Their stories are not just about business success. They are stories about breaking barriers, cultural, financial, institutional, and gender-based, inside Africa's toughest industry. In Nigeria's oil economy upstream, exploration and production is the most difficult terrain to enter. It demands massive capital, international partnerships, regulatory navigation, and technical credibility. For decades, it was controlled by multinational oil companies and a handful of politically connected elites. Then came Uju Ifejika. Born in Southeast Nigeria, Ifejika trained as a lawyer and investment banker, working across Nigeria, Europe, and the United States. She developed expertise in mergers, acquisitions, and energy finance long before founding an oil company of her own. She established Brittania-U Nigeria Limited, positioning it not as a service contractor, but as an asset-owning upstream operator. Within just a few years, Brittania-U acquired stakes in producing oil fields and other Nigerian assets, becoming one of the most prominent indigenous upstream companies in the country and one of the very few globally owned by a woman. Her rise was historic. She became one of Nigeria's youngest female oil asset owners, one of Africa's few women in the upstream oil production, a respected voice in energy investment and policy circles. But Brittania-U's ambition extended beyond oil extraction. Under Ifejika's leadership, the company expanded into gas processing and commercialization, power generation, energy infrastructure, strategic investment partnerships. Her strategy was clear, not just to produce oil, but to build energy systems. In an industry where indigenous participation had long been limited to marginal roles, Ifejika pushed Brittania-U into the heart of Nigeria's petroleum economy, and in doing so, she shattered one of the most difficult glass ceilings in African business: ownership of oil-producing assets.
Inside. In the past, when we started in 2007, it was difficult because I think I was the first company to be funded by then Union Bank, and First Bank and all the other ones, they were not, the only ones that they are funding then was the IOCs. So from 2007 to now, it is a totally different ballgame, because when we, on our own side, when we bidded for assets that was up for divestment, and we bidded for $1.6 billion. The Nigerian bank had a syndication, and then we were able to raise that. I didn't go outside to look for the money. So for them, they have moved from where they were some years back, where it's, no, this is not an area that we want to go into, to now they're having a larger appetite, having to syndicate, join forces with other banks to raise big, huge amounts to fund the divestments that are, have been going on for the past few
If
months.
oil production represents the beginning of Nigeria's energy chain, logistics represents its backbone. Every liter of petroleum consumed in Nigeria must pass through ports, tank farms, marine vessels, storage depots, distribution terminals. And few indigenous companies dominate this infrastructure landscape, like Falcon Corporation Limited. At the helm stands Audrey, Joe-Ezigbo, an engineer, energy strategist, and business leader who transformed Falcon Petroleum from a petroleum marketing company into a full integrated energy service powerhouse. Unlike many downstream firms that focus solely on fuel, retail, Falcon invested heavily in midstream infrastructure, storage terminals, marine logistics, and energy distribution systems that enable Nigerian fuel supply to function. Her leadership coincided with Nigeria's downstream liberation era, when private sector infrastructure became critical to stabilizing fuel supply. Under her direction, Falcon expanded into petroleum products importation, bulk storage and terminal operations, marine logistics, energy infrastructure development, clean energy and gas initiatives. Audrey Joe-Ezigbo also became widely recognized beyond business circles, serving as president of Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NACCIMA, NACIMA, and as the leading advocate for private sector reforms, women in energy, and indigenous industrial growth. Her impact has been structural. Rather than chasing oil blocks or political contracts, she built infrastructure, assets that remain long after headlines fade. And in doing so, she positioned Falcon Corporation as one of Nigeria's most strategically important energy logistic firms.
Falcon is a strategic partner in natural gas development and energy deployment in all sectors of the economy where natural gas can be employed as a driver of economic growth.
Distracted in the workplace, which is not true, because most women come to work literally with their A game on and they give their best all the time. However, it's just the way many times the corporate world tends to be skewed. So that's a bit of a challenge, because as you go higher up in the organization, the requirement, not necessarily that my children are working here. They don't have to be, they just have to be connected with the history of it. Therefore, we have to be careful the things that we do, even as family businesses. We must still work within systems, within structures, with well-defined policies, well-articulated policies and processes that will ensure sustainability. Challenge we're not taking very seriously. Proverbial catch-22 situation. Everybody wants to know, what kind of jobs have you done before? And the question is, if you don't give me a job, how can I tell you what kind of jobs I've done before? So no experience, no work, no experience. We came into an industry and found that there were many vested interests. We came in and found that people did a lot of relationship type transactions, and we didn't have any of those types of relationships at that point in time. For many years, we didn't understand that we needed to actively build networks. When we did get some little jobs here and there, we barely had money to finance them. The banks wouldn't lend. And I always say in retrospect that now I know better.
While upstream production and midstream logistics shape supply, it is downstream retail that touches the daily lives of Nigerians. Every fuel station, every LPG outlet, every lubricant shop, and every tanker truck delivery. Few indigenous companies dominate this space like Techno Oil Limited, and at the center stands Nkechi Obi, one of Nigeria's most successful female entrepreneurs in the petroleum marketing sector. Founded in the 1990s, Techno Oil grew from a modest fuel marketing company into a nationwide petroleum brand with hundreds of retail stations, LPG distribution networks, lubricant manufacturing capacity, aviation fuel services, large-scale storage infrastructure. Under Obi's leadership, Techno Oil distinguished itself through strong corporate governance, infrastructure investment, regulatory compliance, and brand professionalism. At a time when many downstream firms were defined by speculation and volatility, Techno Oil built stability and consumer trust, positioning itself as one of Nigeria's most respected indigenous petroleum brands. Her leadership also coincided with major industry reforms, subsidy regimes and regulation circles, forex shocks, and supply chain crises. Yet, Techno Oil not only survived it, it expanded. In an industry overwhelmingly dominated by men, Obi carved out space and then scaled it. Her rise proved that women could not only participate in Nigeria's downstream sector, they could also dominate it.
But someone has to do it. We are not unmindful that several cylinder manufacturing plants in Nigeria has collapsed in the past. But hopefully our story will be different. We insisted on this by looking beyond the challenges, but rather we looked at the benefits, the health of our women, the environment, job creation, and most importantly, the economy of Nigeria. Someone has to take care of the caregivers, our mothers. In every household, they ensure that the family is fed. But still, majority of them cook with firewood and kerosene, which are very, very unhealthy. This leads to about 79,000 deaths annually. We just must do something about it. Our businessmen can choose to look the other way, but as a woman, I can't. This is why Techno Oil went into this to help deepen the penetration of cooking gas in Nigeria by building a 5 million annual capacity cylinder manufacturing plant and 12,000 metric tons LPG terminal. We owe our mothers something. Our mothers must cook to live and not cook to die. Setting up the only gas cylinder manufacturing plant in the whole of West Africa is a tough job. God, the Nigerian people, and hopefully the government. God has been good to us. The Nigerian people have expressed interest in buying our quality cylinders, and we hope the government will encourage the growth of local industry by discouraging the importation of substandard gas cylinders, help in raising awareness, and even patronize us. As at date, Techno gas cylinders are buyer's choice. With 5 million annual capacity of our plant can meet the gas cylinder demand of the whole of West Africa. So there is basically no need for any corporate or government agency to spend forex importing cylinders into this country. There is no need exporting over 250,000 direct and indirect jobs this manufacturing plant can generate.
Together, these three women represent a full energy value chain: Uju Ifejika, Brittania-U, Upstream, Exploration and Production; Audrey, Joe-Ezigbo, Falcon Corporation, Midstream, Logistics and Infrastructure; Nkechi Obi, Techno Oil, Downstream, Retail and Distribution. This means they collectively influence oil production, storage and transportation, fuel distribution, consumer energy access, infrastructure development investment. But beyond business metrics, their impact is cultural. They challenge gender barriers in heavy industry, indigenous exclusion from strategic sectors, structural barriers to capital-intensive entrepreneurship, corporate stereotypes about women leadership. They also embody the Igbo entrepreneurial ethos, building through skill, discipline, networks, systems, and long-term thinking. Rather than speculative wealth, they pursued institutional power, ownership of assets, infrastructure, and platforms that endure. Nigeria's oil industry is not merely competitive, it is unforgiving. It is shaped by policy instability, regulatory bottlenecks, currency volatility, infrastructure sabotage, capital scarcity, political interference. Many indigenous firms fail. For women, the obstacles multiply: financing, discrimination, exclusion from elite deal networks, credibility barriers, cultural expectation. Yet, these three women scaled anyway. They built through strategic partnerships, institutional discipline, long-term infrastructure investment, operational excellence, reputation management. Their success was not accidental, it was engineered. For young Nigerians, especially young women, these stories redefine what is possible. They show that you don't need inherited oil blocks, you don't need political godfathers, you don't need multinational ownerships, you don't need gender privilege. What you need is skill, strategy, consistency, vision, and courage. They prove that Nigerian private sector still rewards long-term builders, not just rent seekers. And they prove that Igbo enterprise has not only mastered trade and manufacturing, but now sits at the heart of Nigeria's energy economy. Nigeria stands at a crossroad with energy transition pressure, gas commercialization, refining capacity shortages, and infrastructure deficits. Indigenous operators now matter more than ever. And among the most important of these operators are Uju Ifejika, Audrey, Joe-Ezigbo, and Nkechi Obi. They represent ownership, infrastructure, stability, competence, and future capacity. They are not just women in oil and gas. They are the architects of Nigeria's energy economy. These women didn't beg for space in Nigeria's oil industry. They built it. While others chase contracts, they built infrastructure. While others chase politics, they built systems. While others chased headlines, they built legacies. If you believe Africa's future belongs to builders, not rent seekers, then this story deserves to be heard. Like this video, share it with someone who believes in African excellence. Subscribe to 1010 Media, where we tell the stories they forgot to tell. Because Africa's future isn't imported, it is built.